I'm good. How about yourself?
Great. Thank you. How disappointed were you when you found out Fuller and Roby had been suspended for the season? And how does it impact you on both sides of the ball?
Well, anytime you have someone on your team make a misstep, that's disappointing. And then particularly when they are key contributors. Um, so then what we'll have to do now is everybody as a group will have to tighten the belt straps and put our best foot forward and get ready for the game on Sunday.
Romeo, could you speak specifically to two receivers if you're going to count on them more, QT and Coulter? Will Coulter get some playing time, or will you rely on the others?
Well, we're going to go through the week and see how everybody looks during the week, and then make a decision toward the end of the week about who we're going to use and how we're going to use it.
Sarah?
What have you thought about what you've seen from Coulter in practice so far?
I think he's a good young talent. He's got good hands, got some height. He's a good worker. So that's what I've seen.
Aaron Wilson?
Yeah, good morning, Romeo. Romeo, when like this happens with guys that have run afoul of the performance-enhancing drug policy, how much is it a consideration what you're going to do with them in the future? In the case of Roby, you could void the guarantees in the second year of this contract. With Will, he's a free agent. How much is this something that, as an organization, it becomes now a big picture decision?
Well, probably it does become a big picture decision. And the organization will have to look at that. And if I'm part of the organization, I can have some input. If I'm not, then someone else will have to do that. But generally, in this game of pro football, you look at the body of work and then include everything in the body of work, and then determining how you want to use it, whether you want to use it, and things like that.
Do you guys feel like at this point it's going to be isolated to those two individuals? And what's the message that you send to everyone about being mindful of, what you put into your body, being responsible for that, to not have this happen going forward?
Well, hey, I told them that they're responsible for themselves. They know the rules. The rules say that you can't put anything into your body. You're responsible for what you put in your body. And then we have trainers here. We have doctors here. The NFL has doctors. And if there's any question, they can check it out, get it checked out, so that they don't, fall into that category.
Christy?
Hey, Romeo, I know you've been around JJ for a long time and seen all the things he can do, but what has it been like for you to see him making these huge plays like he's made for you the past couple of weeks?
It was like it was when I first got here. He was making those huge plays when I first got here. He was helping us win. He's uplifting the team. And so that did that, on Thanksgiving. Hopefully we'll continue that and let him keep making plays.
There's only, I would say, a handful of defensive players in the league that are able to change games the way he has over the past couple of weeks. However, how valuable is it for you to have someone like that on your team where you can get scores on defense and he can just make such big pushes from the defensive position?
Well, it's a tremendous value because the opponent has to account for him. And usually they have to take more than one to account for him. So what that means is that while he's dealing with two or three, that someone else is dealing with one. And then we talk to our guys all the time about winning the one-on-one battles. And so if JJ is fighting three, those guys who are fighting one, they have to win. And when they do win, that impacts the game also.
Berman?
Romeo, did you have a chance to talk to Will and Bradley after this came down? If so, how difficult were those conversations?
No, I have not spoken directly with either one of them. And really, there's no difficulty to the conversation because the deed is done. And there's nothing that I can do about it. And the only thing I can tell them is that they're responsible for themselves, and that's one of the things about the sports business. The players, they play the game and the coaches coach the game, but the coaches are not responsible for what the players do. I mean, the players, they're grown men and they do what they do. We try to educate them. We talk to them about it. We give them the rules. They know what the rules are. They know where they can get help from their organization. And if they don't use what's available to them, I mean, you can't put it on the coach or the GM or anybody else. The player has to take responsibility. And I think both of those guys have admitted that they did the wrong thing and that they apologized for it. And we'll see how it goes going forward.
One other thing, Romeo, with Bradley out, or how much consideration are you giving to moving Lonnie back to corner?
We're going to see how the week goes, to tell you the truth, and see if we need to do that. Lonnie, in his present role, is making a great contribution to the team, to the defense. And so, you don't want to mess up two positions. So we'll look it over and make a determination about what we need to do.
Thank you.
Brandon.
Hey, Romeo, could you speak to the value of the players that y'all are losing on both sides of the ball, with Will Fuller being y'all's top target this season and obviously Bradley being the top cover guy that y'all have had this season?
Well, when you lose production like that, it hurts. Nothing we can do about it now, but it hurts not having it, But like I told them this morning, we have enough in the room that we can win games. And everybody has to tighten that belt strap up and put that best foot forward and have great energy, effort, and drive to win this game on Sunday.
The game that y'all played without Bradley, I believe, was the Jacksonville game. Do you feel like you learned enough about the other guys that filled in for you at that point to know whether you want to do things the same there that you did a few weeks ago going forward?
Well, part of our job as coaches is to know what our guys can do, what their strong points are, what their weak points are, and then try to accentuate their strength. And so that's what we're going to try to do with the guys who are left. And we didn't have to be without Roby to kind of know what those guys can do because we practice with them all the time and we know what they're capable of. And so we're going to try to accentuate the positives.
Randy.
Morning, Romeo.
Morning.
And apologize if you hit on this at the beginning. I jumped on, had a problem getting on. But as far as losing Will, but you mentioned you got enough guys in that receiver room to get the job done. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that and what you've seen out of somebody like Cooks, who really could take over that role now, starting this weekend?
Yeah, I said we have enough guys on the team. I didn't mention the receiver room specifically, all right,
Okay.
Because I think it's going to take the team. It's going to take the team. Everybody has to step up and tighten the belt strap, because we lost guys on both sides of the ball. So everybody is involved in picking up their game. And I think that we can. As far as the receivers go, we're going to look at all avenues. Everybody on the team, on the practice squad, on the wire, whatever. And then if we find someone we think is better than what we have, then we'll bring them in. If not, we'll work with what we got.
John.
Romeo, great quarterbacks can make some good receivers. How much are you relying on Deshaun, and how do you think he'll play without losing his favorite target?
Well, I think that he'll play well because he's a great quarterback, and great quarterbacks play well. Even though that they might not have that favorite target, all of a sudden another target becomes their favorite. Guys who can get open and who can catch the ball. And we have guys on the team that can do that, So I think that he'll continue to be great.
Cody Davis.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
With Roby out for the rest of the season now, who would you consider to be the team's number one corner in order to contain the opposite team's top receiver?
Well, if we choose to go that route, we'd have to make that decision on if we wanted to go that route, and then we'd decide who it would be from what we have. I'm not going to say right now who that will be because probably Indy is listening and paying attention. So I'll let them figure it out and let them guess for a while. But then Sunday, we'll put people out there who can get the job done.
Aaron Wilson.
Well, with Eric Murray's background as a corner, and you guys have used him some as a nickel, what do you think of his skill set as a guy that can cover and be versatile, not just play the safety position, but also be a corner?
Well, he's shown how versatile he is. He can play safety. He can play corner. He plays money. He can play star. He can play several different positions for us, and we might have to use more of that versatility, going down the road.
This is our first time talking to you since you guys released Kenny Stills. If you could discuss what went into making that decision, and obviously it was made before Will was suspended. If you could just tell about the timeline, and also just, is that something you might revisit, or do you think that with his wishes, your wishes, the teams, that's a closed door at this point?
Well, like I said, we'll look at every option that we have, and I'm not saying that we will not visit him, but I think he left here on good terms. Both sides were agreeable to the decision that was made and agreed to move on. And so whether he comes back or not, that's something that we'll figure out. But if he does, he does. If he doesn't, he doesn't.
We'll take two more. Berman?
A couple more. Romeo, have y'all reached out to Stills yet to see if he's would consider that, or is that something that's down the road?
I have not spoken with him, so I cannot answer that.
One other thing, y'all have built up a little momentum the last couple of weeks. How much did you worry about what's happened this week with Will and Bradley could affect the momentum, or could affect kind of where your team is going forward?
Well, part of my job is to try to keep that from happening. And so the mentality of the team, the attitude of the team, the work ethic of the team, I think is still in place. We got good guys who work hard, who are going to play hard, and going to give their best. And like I told them this morning, we have enough in the room that we can win. And so that's what we're going to try to do.
Last one for John.
Romeo, you talked Monday about Rivers' intelligence, knowing now that whatever you do without Roby, he's going to try to attack you. What is it like going against him without your best corner, knowing what he's capable of?
Well, it makes it a little bit tougher, because he is such a great quarterback. He can read defenses. He reads people, position of the feet, which way they're leaning. He studies it really good, and he kind of has an idea about what coverage you are playing before the snap. And that makes him so good because he knows exactly where he needs to go with the ball. And he's pretty accurate on those throws where he can throw it away from the defender, and their guys are able to catch it. So it's going to be tougher, but we got tough guys on this team. We got guys who can bow up and play. And so we're going to play Sunday.
All right. Thanks, everyone.